Go girl.
Okay, you guys. Hi, I'm Misty Blankenship, and I'm a Gold Ambassador, and Tiff and I are taking over for Tara tonight. I don't know if you guys heard all of what was happening with the diamonds in California this morning, but there's been some scuttlebutt on Facebook today, so if you haven't heard, just go through and look for someone that was there. There was an accident with a bus involving about 50 of our people, so definitely want to send prayers out for them tonight. When Tiffany and I were discussing what we were going to talk about, she talked about, sharing a little bit about gifts and being who you are, and I decided I was going to share about some guidance that I've been learning about. And so we came up with the term gifts and guidance, and I'm going to actually talk about the guidance before the gifts. Even though the name is gifts and guidance, it's going to be guidance and gifts. So we're going to talk about it in that order instead of the other way around. And for a few minutes before I get to the meat of what I'm going to talk to you guys about, I'm going to touch on a few things that you may be thinking that I'm talking about, and because these are important things as well. But it's not exactly what I've got in mind to talk to you about. But during my 2-year Plexus career, I've heard many Jewel ambassadors thank their team members and for their success and for sharing. And then they share advice that you really can't hit the higher ranks without people on your team. I mean, you can't do it by yourself. It takes a great team, both in your higher levels and in those that are below you, and that you also need motivation and encouragement from others. And these things are so, so true. I know for me personally, I was not able to hit the rank of gold without a team member specifically who added to our ranks. I mean, she just kept adding people, and that really helped me reach the rank of gold. And we know, from experience that you can go as wide as you want to, but until you start going deep, your team is never going to explode and you're never going to hit those upper ranks. So that's definitely a true statement, that you've got to have people that are good on your team. Motivation is also something that's important, and that comes in many different forms, and it can be different from one person to the next. For me, motivation is about watching videos. It's about watching diamond documentaries. It's about reading self-development books, that kind of stuff. It's about just hearing great stories of other people being successful. And all of these things are super important for you to do. And then having a team sponsor that you can go to when you are just down on yourself maybe, or you are depressed because you thought you had a rock star and that person hasn't added to their team in a month, or maybe you had a customer that quit taking the products. You've got to have somebody that you can go to discuss that stuff with, to kind of cry on their shoulder. And I feel like we are in a team of such great people that we're just very, very fortunate that we have those kinds of people to turn to. But the guidance that I want to talk to you about tonight is from a different source, okay? Kind of with a show of hands, those of you that have your video going, how many of you pray over your business in your calendar? Okay, I do too. And before August, I used to pray in the mornings that God would bring people to me that needed this business or these products. And I know for sure that the customers I have and the team members who join me are thanks to Him. There's no question about that. But I want you to look at this from a little bit different perspective. And I'm going to read you a couple of scriptures. The first one is 2 Thessalonians 5:17, and it's the Amplified Version. It says, "Be unceasing and persistent in prayer." Okay, I want to read that again. It's really, really short. Be unceasing and persistent in prayer. The second verse is Psalm 37:23, and it's in the New Living Translation Version. The Lord directs the steps of the godly. He delights in every detail of their lives. Okay? He delights in every detail of their lives. So, kind of without knowing it, I've taken these two scriptures to heart. I didn't really find the scriptures until I started preparing for this talk tonight. But in August, I kind of went down this road of really changing how I do things in my business. You guys, I am kind of all in, and I work this business full time. So for me, it means pretty much unceasing prayer all day long. How many of you, again by a show of hands, love making phone calls to people that you need to reach out to? Me neither. Thank you, John. You guys, it is the hardest thing in the world for me to do. I don't know why. But, you know, I can easily put off contacting anyone that I have to make a phone call to. And I know, as you guys all said, I'm not alone in this. If someone asks me about Plexus, I am totally great. I know what to say, how much to say, what not to say. You know, I've learned over the last couple of years not to keep Plexus on them. But when someone doesn't ask me about Plexus, if it's not somebody who's reached out to me and specifically said to me, what's this Plexus thing? And I get all tongue-tied and I get all, you know, anxious about what to say. Do I bring up Plexus? Do I not bring up Plexus? You know, I just get totally nuts about it. But when I'm actually trying to reach my IPA numbers or, you know, trying to actually make some contacts, this is what I've learned to do in the month of August. And I've taken it truly to heart that God means what he says in the scriptures. He really does care about the little details of our life. And he has directed me to pray unceasingly. And so that is what I've been doing. Praying about every little or big decision that I make regarding my Plexus business. And honestly, other areas of my life as well, but we don't have time to talk about all those right now. So let me share with you what that actually looks like, okay? I'm going to get real here. For me, the first step is actually when I sit down to work, I say a prayer that goes something like this. God, let me hear your voice, not my own. Let me hear your will for my actions today. Okay, you guys, I get totally emotional when I pray out loud, so I really wasn't planning on getting that emotional when that happened, but sorry, that's what I pray. And I'll tell you in a minute how I discern that it's his voice and not my own, okay? So then the second thing I do is I take out a list. And that could be, you know, your Frank's list. It could be a list if you're keeping track of people that like your non-Plexus post, or if you keep track of the people that like your Plexus post, whatever the list is, I take that out. And the next question is, God, is this person, and then I name the person on the, you know, whatever the first person is on the list, is this person somebody I need to contact today? And I listen for his voice, and usually a yes or no will pop up in my head. Okay, it's just whatever pops in my head. And I know it's him when it's somebody I would not at all be able to talk myself into contacting, and he tells me yes. So that's how I discern. I mean, I know that he's going to answer me because I've asked him to, but I also know that he's going to tell me exactly what he wants me to do and not just what I want to do. So then I take that person's name. If he tells me yes, it's a person that I need to contact today, I take that person's name and I write it on another list, which is a daily planner. And I don't know if you could, this is today's list. And I kind of have that broken out. Like normally the bottom part is saved for my team members, and I actually ask him about every single one of those as well. Today's list in addition to that little bit on my planner, I had this many more. Now, I didn't reach out to anyone on Saturday, and I didn't reach out to anyone on Sunday. So I'm assuming that's why I ended up with about 47 names on my list to contact today. Now, when I say I'm contacting them, you guys, it's not all about Plexus. Sometimes it's just building a relationship with them on Facebook. Sometimes it is sending them a message. Sometimes it's Plexus related, sometimes it's not. But those are the things that I specifically ask him. So if I've got somebody and he says that I'm supposed to contact them today, and I'm going down my list of those that I'm supposed to contact for the day, the next question is, how am I supposed to reach out to this person? Is it by phone call? If it is, I make a little note of it. Is it by text? Is it by Facebook Messenger? Or is it just a connection on Facebook? And you guys, it is so, so helpful to be able to have that ahead of time, to just know that that's the way he's guiding me. And that's going to be an easier option. Whatever he tells me, it's going to be an easier option. And I say that, and I can, I'll back that up in just a few minutes. If it's a long list, okay, you guys, I have lots of lists. This one is like, I don't know, 4 or 5 pages here, and it's all, you know, there's a name on every single line on the page. And what I'll do is I'll take the first page and I'll say, is there anyone on this page that I need to contact? If he says yes, then I start going down the list. If I feel like, you know, sometimes I just get a feeling that I've had enough names from this list, or I've contacted that the rest of these people over and over again. Is there anyone else? So I'll just like stop midway and I'll say, is there anyone else? If he says yes, I keep going. If he says no, I turn to the next page. And so I truly, truly go over, and I don't always work from this list, so it doesn't always take me that much time to figure out who I'm supposed to contact. I have another list, and there's, I don't know if you can see this, there's double names on both sides of this paper, double columns on both sides of this paper. So God talks to me. I don't know how he talks to everyone else, but he talks to me in short sentences, in short answers. And so I try to ask the right questions so that all I have to hear from him is a yes or no. So it's like, is there someone on this side of the list that I'm supposed to contact today? Is there someone on this side of the list I'm supposed to contact today? Because it takes a little bit more time up front. Sorry, there's an ant on my computer. But in the end, the results have been so much better. I'm going to go back to my notes because I'm sure I'm going to miss something. If you have your list in a A to Z organization, just go like, the first A through F. If that's what you're working on for that day. Then, of course, I go down the new list. I told you that, and I asked them how I'm supposed to contact them, so I make little notes about that. And then let's say that God tells me I am supposed to call someone. Totally not my answer that I would give myself, so I know that that is definitely his word. So I pray to God, and I say, please, guide this conversation. And sometimes I'll even ask him, which is kind of silly, but I'll even ask him, is this person going to pick up the phone? And sometimes he'll say yes, and sometimes he'll say no. And I promise you, every time he said no, I'll be leaving a message. Because I don't have to talk to that person, and it's so much easier to leave a message than it is to actually have a conversation with somebody for me for some reason. But if I've had to have a conversation, then because I've asked him how I'm supposed to do this, and he's guided me through the whole thing, the conversations have just gone so smoothly. I don't get tongue-tied. I'm able to just converse with somebody and not feel like I have to bring up Plexus. Sometimes he says, and I ask that too, am I supposed to bring up Plexus or not bring up Plexus? And sometimes it just happens naturally, and sometimes he says, yes, bring it up. So then I have to get brave, and I have to say, okay, I've been thinking about you for Plexus, and I need to talk to you about that. Let's do lunch or something like that. But I promise you, just asking him ahead of time has made those conversations go so much more smoothly. Another thing is sometimes, I still get anxious and I still get scared about what I'm going to say. And I'll start planning what I think the conversation should go like in my head. And then I stop and I realize this is not my plan, it's his plan. And I want him to be involved in it. So I will literally say to myself, to stop that conversation going on in my head, thy will be done. And for those of you who know that song, yes, I sing it when I say that because I love that song. Okay, so then suppose God says I need to Facebook message someone. And suppose it's Jane, whom I have not spoken to in 10 years, but I have over the course of, say, the last 6 months occasionally liked something on her page or commented on something on her page, but I have no idea what to message Jane about. So I'll go to her page and I'll look through it, and if there's something I can comment on, I'll go, can I comment on this? And he'll either say yes or no. Do I still need to message Jane? And he'll say yes or no. If he says yes, I'm like, Lord, I have no idea what to say to this person. And so I will pray to him, and I will, okay, so this is an example of my conversation with God. Really, God, I need to contact Jane today. He'll say yes. And I'll say, okay, well, I have nothing to say to her. And he'll say, trust me. And then I say, okay, so when I put my hands on the keyboard, I'm going to type the words that you make come into my mind. I literally, you guys, I'm not kidding you on this. I put my hands on the keyboards and I just wait for the words that he gives me to pop into my head. And generally, after it's like, hi, Jane, or whatever the next thing is something that then gives me a train of thought or a message to say. So, I can kind of take it from there, but sometimes it's literally like me just typing the next word, the next word, the next word. But God is really good at this stuff. He knows what these people want to hear. He knows what they need to hear from me. Whether that be a plexus message or not a plexus message. And so if I can just let go of that need for control, the whole thing just runs so much smoother. I want to, share more, say this or do that instead of what he's directed me to say, share, or do. But it never goes as well when I take control as it does when he's in control. I'm going to tell you an example of that. A couple of weeks ago, I reached out to a friend of my sister's who I am friends with on Facebook, who I have known personally through my sister for many, many years. And so I reached out to her on Facebook. And, honestly, right this minute, I cannot remember whether I was following his lead or whether I was just taking my own lead because I had been on a roll that day. So I reached out to her, and later that day, I got a text from my sister. This is a sister who began taking the products when I first started my plexus journey, but she quit because she couldn't be consistent. And then she has literally not been supportive of me or plexus since then. So this text I got from her said, do not ever contact any of my friends ever again. And at the time, I'm like, okay. And again, I really did not remember whether that was something God had told me to do or whether I was doing that on my own. So I had to pray a long, long time about it, but I just let it go. I figured if it was God that told me to do it, he would make it right somewhere along the way in the long run. So then literally a few days later, y'all, my nephew, my sister's son, who's over 18, his name came up on one of my lists. And God said I was supposed to contact him that day, and I'm like going, I'm not doing this. This is going to tick my sister off so bad. And not only did he say I had to contact him that day, but he said I had to call him on the phone. And I you guys, I'm really freaking out. I'm like, okay, I have to just go with God, what God says to do. So I picked up the phone, and fortunately, he didn't answer. So I was able to leave a message. And I just asked him if we could have lunch, and I was very honest with him up front. I said, this does involve me talking to you about Plexus, but I really do also want to catch up with you and see how things are going with you. There's been some stuff, that I haven't really had a chance to learn about with him. And so this other scripture now pops into my head at this point, and it's Romans 8:28, and it says, and we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them. So I made that call. We had lunch this past week. It was a lovely lunch. We got to catch up with each other. Plexus came up. I shared what I needed to share with him, and I am leaving it in God's hands how that goes over with my sister and how, whether or not he decides to join my team. I'm just letting it go and letting it be God's decision or God's direction for them. I have done what I'm supposed to do. His name comes up again, I'll reach out to him again. And really quickly, I have a quick little story, a little God story about the second Bible verse. When Tiff and I decided to help Tara out by doing this call, I was sitting down one day thinking about what I wanted to say and what I wanted to share. And I was listening to Caleb on the radio. And, I don't know if you guys listen to Caleb or not, but the DJ came on and he was reading a scripture. And it just happened to be the one that I read to you earlier in Psalms. It's Psalms 37:23. I don't know if I can find it. Yeah. The Lord directs the steps of the godly. He delights in every detail of their lives. When I heard that, it was kind of in the back of my mind, or in the back of my awareness, because I was trying to figure out what I was going to say, but I was listening to the radio as well. I caught that part of it. I caught that he cares about the little details of our lives. And then I caught only part of the scripture that's Psalms 23. And then, of course, the radio goes on and he, plays the next song. And I'm going, okay, I know that's not Psalms 23 because I know what Psalms 23 is, and that's not the scripture. So I'm thinking to myself, gosh, I wish radio had a rewind button like TiVo does, where you can just back it up and play it over again. I kid you not, about 3 minutes later, after that song or the next song, a caller comes on the radio and he goes, hey, I really like that scripture you just read. Can you please tell me the chapter and verse again? And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. I have a rewind button right here just in you. I didn't have to call up or search it out in the Bible app. I was able to figure out what it is. So it's not Psalm 23, it's Psalm 37:23. You guys, this may seem really weird. I don't know, how closely you walk with God. I don't know if my blanket prayers were getting me somewhere, but they weren't getting me comfortable with what I needed to do this business the way I want to do this business. And so talking to him specifically about every little thing has made it just so much easier for me. And I know it will help you too. And the biggest thing is you just have to ask him for the help. That's all I have.
That's awesome. Well, hey, everybody. I am Tiffani Wyke. I started Plexus about about a year ago. Hang on. I'm going to actually mute something real quick because I think sorry, I'm not usually on this tail end of it. So, okay. Okay, so I'll introduce myself again. I'm Tiffani Wyke. I'm currently a Gold Ambassador. All right, so we know that Misty was talking about guidance, and my job tonight is to talk to you about gifts. But first of all, I want to ask you a question, and you have to be honest, okay? How many of you in here will be honest and confess to maybe questioning a few times, where the heck is the secret sauce to making it big? Okay, I will put my hand way up high and say, like, yes, I have asked that question. John has, like, hands and feet in there. Okay, so obviously we're not alone in asking that question, where's the secret sauce? Now, if I were to ask you, who here has heard of Chewbacca Mom? Like, do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, we all know who Chewbacca Mom is. If you don't know who it is, then obviously you are brand new to this world and you've never been around Facebook in the past, like, 2 months. But basically, Chewbacca Mom is that video that went absolutely viral just a few months ago with that really, like, hilarious lady in the parking lot of Kohl's, and she bought herself that Chewbacca mask that when the mouth opens, like, out comes that famous Chewbacca growl. I'm not going to try to mimic it because I'll really embarrass myself, and I'm not here to do that. So, but you know what I'm talking about, okay? So if you don't know it, go search Chewbacca Mom at the end of this video and just watch it because it's funny. It's like 4 minutes long. Okay, so anyway, this lady found the secret sauce, okay, in one video that was shared and reshared and reshared and reshared on Facebook and YouTube and just the whole, like, great wide, world web. She found the secret sauce. Okay, do you know what it is? It's so simple, and you're going to be like, okay, but, like, really? But for real, the secret sauce is this. She was unapologetically, unashamedly herself. She didn't try to be anyone but herself. And that is what created a connection in an instant that had us feeling like we already know who she is just by watching that one 4-minute long video. The joy that was in her heart in those 4 minutes left the world scratching their heads and being like, okay, I want some of what she has. I remember thinking that. But that's it. It's so simple. There's no algorithm, no special keywords. She was just being herself. She was being real. She's not being afraid to be the best version of herself that she can be, even if she looks silly while doing it. Okay, so that's what I'm here to talk to you about for a few minutes tonight, is to be you. Be the youest you that you can be. Don't hide behind what you think a business owner should be on Facebook or how you should look or act. Nothing like that, okay? Be you. Be genuine. Be real. Okay, I'm going to hit on 3 points here. So if you're a note taker, here's the stuff. Number 1 is to be authentic. Be authentic, okay? It's one thing to say you're authentic, but it's another thing to actually be authentic. Authenticity is when people actually view you as a real person with a gnat flying in my face, so free of that. People will buy into you long before they buy into a product or a brand. Okay, in other words, you're actually branding yourself. And personal branding needs to feel authentic in order for people to actually care about what you have to say. You cannot make a formula for relationship and just being yourself. People can tell what's real and what's not that fast. So be yourself today and have fun doing it. Number 2, be vulnerable. But if you're writing that word down, vulnerable, put a little asterisk by it because there's an asterisk at the end, okay? But what do I mean when I say be vulnerable? Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and share intimate parts of yourself that let people know that, you know what? You're not perfect, okay? You are human just like everyone else in this world. Who doesn't love an awesome before and after story, right? And these are kind of like what our company thrives on. So when we share our own struggles and how we use Plexus as a tool to overcome these struggles, I mean, it could be anything. Weight, pain, illness, finances, you name it. Whatever it is that Plexus has done for you, share it. Talk about it. I will tell you that the absolute hardest post on Facebook that I have ever shared was my own like coming out post. Like when I announced to the world that I am all aboard the pink train. I talked about my whole weight loss journey, how it was prior to Plexus and my struggles there, why it led me to Plexus, and then what it had done for me so far already. But in that post, I had like a side by side image progression, and that first photo was the one of me at my absolute heaviest weight ever. I know a lot of you can relate, like you've been there, done that. And so that was for real, like painful to me. Hang on. It was painful to me to let anyone see that, much less the entire world of Facebook. I mean, I honestly don't even know why it was so hard, because at that point I had already lost close to 50 pounds and I looked entirely different. But what it was just that piece of vulnerability. But you know what? I am so glad that I did it, because it turns out it actually spoke to people. Like that one image showed Tiffani at her worst, and somehow that actually breathed hope into the lives of others who were struggling just like I was. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Okay, but here's the asterisk to kind of go along with it. We want the world to know that yes, we are human through and through, just like everyone else. But here's how we can turn a vulnerable moment into an empowering tool. Okay, speaking in terms outside of like Plexus testimonies, because you can and you should totally share and celebrate any and all victories along the way, big or small alike. Okay, those in themselves are empowering and they tell your story. But when it comes to life crises, I caution the use of Facebook as a diary. Okay, meaning instead of announcing a personal crisis like as it's happening moment by moment, this can actually come off as emotionally unstable and somewhat dramatic. Now, I don't mean that you should shut yourself off completely to support. I mean, learn how to reach out to family and to close friends during these times for your support. But when we're talking about vulnerability as far as your social platform goes, on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever you happen to be, sharing a personal crisis after it's been dealt with emotionally, after you've found a tool to launch you towards the victory in the end, it still gets the same point across. That, yeah, you know what? That piece of crap situation hit me out of nowhere. But guess what happened? Then you fill in the blank. Okay, so now as leaders, we can speak of our vulnerability. Then we can go on to empower the world around us with success and encouragement. Okay, so number one is be authentic. Number two, be vulnerable. Point number three is this. It's totally okay to be a little bit rebellious. Okay, now what do I mean by that? It is perfectly 100% okay to stop trying to be like everyone else says we're supposed to be, like what pop culture says we should do or should say or believe. It's okay to stop trying to do this or to wear that or act like this just to get everyone to like us. And like network marketing, well, it's not wildly accepted by the masses, is it? It's not exactly normal. But you know what? It's a part of you. Be proud of you. Be proud of this business that you've chosen to be a part of. Where else can a stay-at-home mom earn as much as a brain surgeon at home, on her iPad, in her yoga pants? Okay, this is not something to apologize for. This is something to celebrate. We are helping to change the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands of individuals and families. We are helping that single mom provide groceries to feed her babies so they don't go to bed hungry at night. We're helping that diabetic father literally add years to his life to watch his children and his grandchildren grow up. We're helping families who couldn't get pregnant have children. You guys, these are life-changing actions. And again, this is now part of you. You are Plexus, a dealer of hope. Be proud to be you. You will attract people who admire you for being brave enough to be you. This gives people courage. And if you empower people by giving them courage, they will follow you wherever you go. So never apologize for being you. Okay, so those are the 3 points I want you to carry home with you. Be authentic, be vulnerable, be rebellious. Okay, this is the secret sauce. Another example of someone who did this and grew a huge following on Facebook is Sandy Krakowski. Okay, her Facebook page has over 1.3 million people on it. And that's all that she does, is she is being herself on there. She has hot pink bangs, and she's just herself. And then periodically she'll share a product that she offers for sale to help people in their business. But moral of the story is Sandy Krakowski is Sandy Krakowski. So that's what I'm getting at. Be the youest you that you can be. Okay, so maybe you're like, okay, cool, but yeah, like I'm just me. I don't exactly have a Chewbacca mask laying around here. Or like maybe you do because you're like me and you have like 1,000 Halloween costumes from years past that are literally overtaking your entire world. But that's a side point. And even if you do Chewbacca mask, has already been there. Like Chewbacca Mom has done the Chewbacca mask. So we have to find something else. But that's okay because we have other stuff to offer too, okay? So I want you to think about 5 things that define you. This is your homework. 5 things that define you. They can literally be anything, okay? But maybe 5 things and when that, like, if somebody sees this thing or this object or hears the word, they might actually think your name, okay? So I'll tell you some of mine. Why? Because no one knows me more than me. Okay, that's like my point I'm trying to get across. So number 1 for me, bangs. Bangs, 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 bangs. I am like the epitome of a bangs wearer, okay? Like you see this side swept fringe up here, yes. This is like trademark Tiffani for like pretty much my entire life ever. It's been a constant feature of mine through all ages and stages of my existence here on planet Earth. Long hair, short hair, curly hair, straight hair, you name it. It has been me for, like I said, ever. Well, aside from like a very brief couple of episodes when I attempted to branch outside of what's actually good for me and my face shape, and I tried to grow them out, but as you can see, bangs have returned, and they will probably stay with me like till the end of time. So that's one thing. Like when people think of Tiffani, they think bangs. They might also think of poofy hair because I poop. I do poop. And my friends tease me about that all the time. So bangs, poofy hair, basically brunette bangs, like that's me. Okay, number 2, boy mom. When people hear the word boy mom, y'all, I have embraced the boy mom trend. Okay, I have a 9-year-old and 7-year-old. They are all boy. And if you've seen like the shirts that go around like hashtag boy mom, I have like 2 of them. I kind of drool over more because I think they're adorable and they totally define me. Like I can connect with other boy moms. I can't so much connect with girl moms as much as I think I would like to, but like boy moms, I mean, because boys, if you don't have a boy, like you don't even know what you're missing out on. They are hysterical and a mess and just awesome. Number 3, this is weird, but avocados. There was this period of time when, I guess because I have kind of an obsession with avocados and the world around me picked up on that, I was getting tagged in like every single post that related to avocado, like avocado recipe, why avocados are good for you, put avocados in your hair, rub it on your face. I mean, like literally everything avocado had Tiffani written all over it. It's funny. Number 4 for me, boot camp. This is actually something that's very, very new to me. This is like a new obsession, and one that I would like to have my trademark kind of, resemble, because I'm in the health and wellness industry now, and so that's one part of it is boot camp. And then of course Plexus. I want, when people hear the word Plexus, I want my network to think, Tiffani does that, I should contact her. So maybe for you it's like totally different things than it should be. Okay, maybe it's ballet or dance or Michael Jackson or like teacher. Okay, fill in the blank. All right, but what's way cool is that some of these things can actually help us broaden our network. We can actually connect with others who share these same interests. I'm sure if I like looked for a Facebook group that was all about avocados, I could probably find one. And then we can connect with our love of avocados, and then bada bing, bada boom, I'm like expanding my network. I haven't done it, but maybe that's a note I'll jot down for myself. Okay, so let's move on and dig just a little bit deeper, okay? Let's talk about our strengths. What are your strengths? Like for real, what are your strengths? If you're staring at me with a blank expression like, I don't know, well, don't worry, okay, I have the answer for you. It's called the 4 Color Personalities. There's even a book out there called The 4 Color Personalities for MLM. And there's an online quiz where you can discover what your personality color is. So if you want the link to the quiz, let me know and I will attach it here at the end. But I'm just going to touch on each color really quick. This is like the very nutshell version of each, but there's 4 colors here. Okay, we have red, green, blue, and yellow. So the reds are the born leaders. They're well organized, they're comfortable taking charge, driven to succeed, they love winning. They portray a confident attitude, they're challenge-oriented, they're good decision makers, they like having the best of everything, and they're cool with being in the spotlight. Greens, these are our intellectuals. Okay, they're very methodical, they're very logical and calculated in their thinking. They don't make snap decisions, rather they love to gather data to analyze before making their decision. They prefer getting facts over having intuition or depending on faith. They're very realistic. They like structure and are perfectionists. Now our blues, these are fun-loving, life of the party, live for the moment. They like bright things and happy people. They love a sense of humor in someone. Very spontaneous. They love to travel and have adventures. They love being social and meeting new people. And then yellows love to help. They enjoy encouraging others. They're comfortable behind the scenes. They're very personable and friendly. They're extremely loyal and excellent team players. They're huge on honesty and integrity. Very family-oriented. Natural peacemakers. They love to volunteer for a worthy cause and are very creative and expressive. What I find so fascinating about these personality colors is that no one person can be 100% one color. Okay, most people will weigh heavier in one color or another, but there will be variation kind of across the board. And this is what really makes each person so very unique in their gifts and their talents. Okay, what I discovered while taking the quiz for myself was like this dawning of, oh, wow. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's so me. That's kind of what happened. And it's like I was reading this description of me to me in a way that I just hadn't really thought of or recognized before. And that's so valuable to really discover who and what you are. So that way you can seriously hone in on those talents and those gifts that are uniquely yours. Okay, the study is obviously like also highly valuable to help us learn how to communicate effectively to other color personalities that are not our own. Like, for example, how can a red communicate best to a yellow? Or how can a green express clearly to a blue, and so on and so forth. But that's a whole nother rabbit trail that we're not going to cross tonight, because I want to keep talking about how you can be the youest you that you can be. So once you really discover these strengths, now we can build on them. We've heard it said before that we should focus on our strengths and continue building them rather than our weaknesses. But why is that? Well, let's say we have a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, 1 is obviously the lowest, 10 is the highest. So maybe you have a particular weakness that's like kind of hovering at like a 3 on the scale of 1 to 10. And maybe we have a strength that's more like a 7 or an 8. If we were to devote lots and lots of time and energy into this weakness that's at a 3, what do you think we could actually work it up to becoming? Like maybe a 5 or a 6 if you like really work hard at it. Because remember, these are our weaknesses. These are not things that come naturally to us. So if it's at a 3 and we work really hard, maybe a 5 or 6. It's still pretty mediocre. Okay, let me put this into practice. I, for one, am not an excellent researcher. Okay, it is not my skill. It is not my passion. I can do it if I need to. That's why I might classify my researching skills at like a 3. Okay, and it's not a 1, but it's not like awesome. But you know what? I can create a graphic. Okay, I would rate my graphics at like 6 or 7 maybe. So maybe with time and focus and energy, I can raise my 6 or 7 up to a 9, or heck, maybe even a 10 if I really give it my all. Okay. This is kind of the beauty of this team, because you know what? We have some awesome researchers on this team. I thank God for Rhonda Williams and the time and effort she's put into sharing her research on product ingredients and how and why they're so incredibly awesome. That is one of her strengths. But because we're a team, well, now we can all benefit from her strength. Why? Because she was free to be her. Likewise, I am free to be me. But in this team, we all benefit. Okay, do you see how this works and why this is so freeing and so empowering on a whole new level? Okay, we don't have to compare ourselves to the right or to the left, because you're free to be you and I'm free to be me. And in doing so, we both win. Now, when we're really true to ourselves, when you are being the youest you that you can be, not only do you have the world's attention, not only are you showing them that, you know what, I'm authentic, baby. Yeah, I can be vulnerable, but heck, I'm not afraid to be a bit rebellious too. And because of all of this, we get to celebrate our strengths. We get to celebrate who it is that God created us to be. What it is that He's designed for our lives. How can we touch another life just by showing off His handiwork in us? Did you know that when God created you, when God breathed the breath of life into you, He did not make a mistake? So stop saying that He did. Stop thinking that He made a mistake when He made you. You were put on this earth for such a time as this. Embrace it. Look at that reflection in the mirror and smile at it. Unapologetically, unashamedly, you. Okay? And then we'll all win. So that's all I've got. Misty, do you have anything else you'd like to close out?
No, I guess we should open it up for questions just for a few minutes to see if anybody has anything that they may have missed on either one of ours. Tiffani, I love what you said, what you shared, and I just have to say I'm already making a post as we speak of something that literally is truly me that I had not thought of before.
That's awesome. Well, Misty, I think you shared with us you tonight. You were the youest you that you could be tonight, and I think we all value from that.
Thank you.
So thank you. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then we will answer questions if there are any.